Welcome to Biggest Geekus. We are your hosts. I am Randy.
And I'm Joe.
This is episode 118 of our show, and the date is Tuesday, December 20th, 2022.
It is less than 1 week to Christmas.
I know, man. I'm pretty pumped. I like Christmas. Going to go to church in the morning and then come back and have a little Christmas dinner. A couple of folks coming over. It's going to be nice.
Yeah. We're doing that, except we're doing the opposite.
Oh,
We're going to church and then going someone else's place.
Even better.
Yeah. So there is plenty of time for folks to get their favorite person on the planet who games. There's plenty of time to get gift cards from Biggest Geekus if you would like.
Absolutely. Big Geek Emporium. You know it.
Big Geek Emporium gift cards are available.
Yeah.
All right.
How was this week for you, man?
Well, I'm working my butt off.
I had to pull carpet out of a room, so I worked a little bit.
Whiner. Your job doesn't have many physical requirements.
Nope.
But working in academia probably has stressors of its own.
Yeah, it does.
Especially when you have to be around other academics.
That can be very stressful. Man, we got a good crowd though, looks like. Oh man, good folk, a lot of people in the house. Ladies in Green Apple, Tim Scott, Darth. Look at them just rolling in like total BAs. Malachi and Martinson. Even L came in early as usual. Patrick Demo in the house. Mr. Blavan. Hello, everyone. Glad you're here.
Very much glad. I appreciate everybody coming in.
Yeah, I'm excited about some of the topics we have. They're interesting. I think it's going to be fun. We're going to do a couple of, even the main topics, not all that long, or it might be. It'd be crazy long. I don't know. We'll see. So, didn't do any gaming this week, but should David Giles show up? I have been working like a madman on my adventure. And
David Giles showed up at your house? Is that what you said?
I'm worried he might. He said he's trying to crack that whip. He says he wants a new version of that adventure pronto. So
yeah, no, and you said you sent me instructions for doing something I don't know how to do. The ad.
Yes, that's a different thing. But I got to figure something out. I'll do some research on that. I need to get that. Let me write that down. I was planning on doing that anyway. I got to get a full page ad for that magazine so we can spread the good word of Biggest Geekus. And
I mean, we could just put our thing up. Our thing. That probably wouldn't be a good idea in a magazine.
Maybe not.
Our logo, such as it is, and just say, get your stuff. A mantra or two.
Yeah.
I'm not an ad guy, so
we'll figure it out.
I'll
figure it out. It'll be something.
Something. Could go on Fiverr and see if someone is willing to do an ad for us.
What is Fiverr?
Fiverr is a site where you can get people to do stuff for you.
You just call them a Fiverr?
Well, ostensibly, it'll probably cost you a little bit more. But say what you want, what you need. You either find someone that's already saying what their services are, and you say, "Hey, can you do this for me?" Or you put I think what you normally do is you put a job up, and people say, "Hey, I can do that."
Can you do it for $1?
$2.
$2, right? Well,
they will want their $2.
We'll each chip in $1. I want my $2. But I've been doing some the game work I've been doing has been on the adventure, and I think I'm really happy the direction is going. So, a freelance company. Thanks, Darth.
Thanks for the appropriate word.
Yes. Freelancer.
Excellent.
Let them lance the freedom.
Well, I put some extra skin in the game.
Oh, you did?
I got, what is it called? Chronicles of Aeres. I got the, yes.
That sounds familiar. From Nerd Cognito?
Let me see. Mr. Max is asking about email. Let me see. I looked at the inbox when I got home from work and I didn't see anything. Let me see.
I know David Gow and I had some good back and forth on Demons and Devils and was heading down the path of what was the last thing we talked about. But we just go back and forth on that. That was fun. David and I kind of he goes into great lengths. So I don't know if I'd want to share all the emails because they're just really long, but they're good. I mean, he's got a lot of good stuff. He sends his emails too. But if Mr. Boivin sent you an email, man, check that poop out. But yeah, so I didn't do much this week as gaming. I did. We had a Christmas party Saturday. That was fun. Joe and Jen didn't get to come, which was a shame, but we did have fun. And I did not go to school this week. Got to the gym twice this week so far. And today I did hit the gym, pulled out carpet, basically just being a pimp. You know how it is. So,
okay, we got a major issue here.
What's wrong?
You got the Dungeons and Delvers. Oh, no emergency. Hopefully, is it a joke?
What?
It'd be a good joke.
Oh gosh, what happened?
The innards of his book don't match the outards.
Ooh, messed up.
So,
yeah,
we'll figure something out. I'm not sure what to do, except to contact Lulu and have them send you a replacement.
So yeah, please actually send the right one because he wants the correct innards. Hey, Legion. Dude, Legion of Myth is here. He got me today. I got suckered in on your video. So, but it was good. And I don't think it's all that fakey anyway. I think that's probably a pretty good guess of how things are going. Green Apple says Lulu screwed up.
Yeah, that's what we were just talking about. The whole book thing.
Is that a shocking thing? Does Lulu generally jack things up or not?
I don't think, but I don't think they are, but it's, it's going to happen.
Yeah. Mr. Bravo says, I'm thinking of the dude all eager to learn about credit union in Utah that will receive a Dungeons and Delvers book. What the heck? This looks like fun. I want to get into this. No, yeah. Legion of Myth definitely gave some Christmas cheer. I was totally suckered up until the moment.
He got what he did was he got the holidays wrong. It's not April Fool's Day.
It was still good.
It was funny though.
The thing is, I don't think it's far from inaccurate.
No, that's what makes it that's what makes it the more funny because it's totally believable.
And we're going to talk a little bit about that too in one of the segments today about some people that have made some predictions that aren't far away from what Legion mentioned in his little 8-10 minute video. Yeah. So, but anyway, anything exciting with you besides working your butt off this week?
Well, I was saying we're going to find out if it's a Lulu screw up or somehow I can't imagine that Dungeons and Delvers creator has the innards of the Utah credit union manual to even put in there. So it has to be their screw up and nobody else has complained about this.
Is it the same thickness, Mr. Max Boivin? Is it the same?
Yeah, he put in a revision, but it's basically the same length. So I ordered one of those, and so I will be getting mine. But let me see when I'm getting mine. Let's see. Expected shipping was 1st of January, still 1st of January. So it's going to be a couple weeks before it's even shipped.
It's all over the place. I've been getting them, Christmas presents and things, and it's always fun. So,
but I wanted to support some of the guys out there.
Yeah.
So I got the Chronicles thing. I even have it open in a window here. Let me hit that and go.
You said the book block get cover, so the thickness must be similar. So did it look like this on the outside? Is that what he's saying? So maybe
I'm not sure what he's trying to say there. Yeah. Thickness must be similar. So he's saying that I think he's saying it looks fine until you open the cover. So,
okay.
The internal dimensions must be all the same.
Patrick had mentioned this once. He said, Patrick Demos says, you may find an outline for D&D insurance in Max Boivin copy of Dungeons and Delvers. Yeah, he's talking about D&D insurance. It's like, man, insurance for my game? Insurance for my character, maybe, if I die? I don't know. So, anyway, you ready to jump into the main topic?
I am going to show something right quick.
Oh, yeah, that means Joe's not ready. He wants to share, present. So this is something you got?
Yes, Chronicles of Aeres.
I believe the guy at Nerd Cognito has a friend, is friends with the creator of this. Who's the creator of this?
Oh, here, I'm going to put this up. Thank you, L, for the suggestion. The Ennies have started.
Oh, thank you, L. Yeah. If anyone there has an in-world account, they should nominate Biggest Geekest Podcast on Anchor for Best Podcast of 22. Yes, you should. That's a great idea.
Not best new podcast, but best podcast.
Best, baby. That's cool. But this Chronicles of Aeres, is it a setting book? A new RPG?
A setting book for 5e, though, like most setting books, you can, most likely, I'm sure, you can adapt it. Oops, wow, that was fast. You can adapt it to whatever system, I'm sure.
Yes, this is the dude because he has a lot of anthropomorphic.
I'll say animals.
What's his name? Can you see the name of the author?
I knew it. Yeah, Greg Lambert and Franklin Mills.
Yeah, I think Lambert I think that's right. He was on Nerd Cognito a week or two ago. He's been on a couple of times. I've heard of the Chronicles of Aeres. Yeah.
So. Mostly, one of the reasons I wanted to show it is because I wanted to show the art.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people have been talking about the art being very good.
It is good.
It's good art.
It's nice.
And he was mentioning, I listened to a recent, he's been on Nerd Cognito a couple of times.
Yes. I think he's friends with that show.
And so he was mentioning how the art is a bit, it's loading, is distinct from Wizards of the Coast art.
Yeah.
In that, I can't remember, I'm not sure what you would call the style they use over at Wizards of the Coast, but it's the modern gaming books will have kind of that kind of style. Some of it's edgy, some of it's very highly stylized. Some of it tries to be more realistic, where this is not trying to be realistic.
This creature that's, there's a guy bent over. I'm not sure what he's doing. The person looks like offering something to this large creature. It reminds me of one of those creatures from, what was that show? Dark Crystal, yeah.
So I know what, and if you read through the book, you're going to see that it borrows heavily from different well-known fantasy or whatever IPs. So it's inspired by, I wouldn't say it's, some people might go a little farther than that, but I think he's just taking inspiration from the various stories we know and kind of melding them all into one kind of setting.
Right.
But yeah, I encourage you guys to take a look at this. He has it on PDF as well. I'll put a link in the show notes for this product.
Okay. Yeah, that looks good. That's one that's available on Big Geek Emporium?
No.
Oh, boo. That would be cool if it was.
It would be.
Yeah. We should have, I think we should see if Ryan, you've been on the Nerd Cognito show. We should see if we can get Ryan David on ours.
Yeah.
He'd be a good guest. Fun to talk with.
Oh, this is the technical term for the style that Wizards of the Coast uses.
Another word for poop, starting with sh and ending with it. Yes. I think that's a good analysis, Malachi. Yeah, I agree. I don't think the art was all that bad, but there were a lot of poop art. Later on, it got worse and worse. So,
oh yeah, it's the Player's Handbook was really disappointing to me.
It was not great. It was not great.
The halflings, especially, for some reason,
Oh.
they got someone who didn't like halflings to do the halfling art.
Apparently, yeah, that is the case. They've had, I don't know. I like the third edition art for the most part. Didn't care for fourth edition all that much. Not that it was horrendous, but didn't care for it. I thought second edition was my favorite art. So, art.
Cal Venoni has a some different technical terminology for the art that Watsy uses. Anime fart art. I think that's probably a school of art, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, or school of fart, one or the other. Yeah. But
yeah, I did that. I got Dungeons and Delvers, and just wanted to show more support for the folks out there.
I got one of the coolest gifts at the White Elephant Gift Exchange.
Can't read the label.
Correct, because it's blank. It's a blank trophy. I got that was the present that I got for White Elephant Gift Exchange or a party, which is
so you get to say what it's for.
Which is for Cabin Con. It's perfect.
Oh, okay. So you can label it. You can label it. We can figure out what it's for, or it's just going to be the traveling trophy of whatever
it needs to be.
Is that a is it just paper, that white spot, or is that a whiteboard thing?
I'm not sure, but it's pretty smooth. It's slick. It doesn't feel like regular paper, so maybe it's a whiteboard thing you have to write on.
And then you can erase it.
That's the case. And that's great. You can erase it. It's going to be different every year. It does say number 1 though. So number 1.
Yes. Elle says Randy got a participation trophy.
Yeah, I did. That's true.
Because that's what he deserves.
It is. That's fair.
That's fair.
So
I should be. I was listening. I started listening to this one podcast from a very not happy person that I shared with Randy about current events.
Yes.
And then I listened to another one, and he suggested when you get together during the holidays, don't get into arguments with your family and friends about what's going on in the world.
Mm-hmm.
When you're there trying to enjoy the holidays, be at peace. So I should probably stop ribbing Randy. I should be at peace.
No, doesn't that make you feel at peace when you rib me?
Yeah, it kind of does.
Oh yeah.
I'm still grinded. My gears are still grinded.
Have been ground.
Yeah, about riding on the hood. So.
Well,
I haven't got you back. I haven't been able to.
It's best that you don't. It's best that you.
You insist on driving everywhere if we go somewhere.
I do.
You probably do that on purpose.
I would say it's smart on my part. So
yeah, it is. You might get left.
I know, get left. All right. You want to say some no words?
Yeah. Let's get into why we're here.
Yeah.
And why we're here is I was, in the interest of being at peace, I wanted to talk about words that some folks don't like us using. So perhaps this is cautionary. We should probably tell the people they shouldn't use these words. Is that what we're doing?
No, we're not going to do that.
Oh, that's right. We're not. We're going to laugh about this.
We're not commies, so.
Right. And hopefully we can get folks to share words, different words than we're going to be using.
Right.
Hopefully words that we can say without getting kicked off of YouTube.
Yeah. That
are words that are we are being instructed not to use for one reason or another. With the blanket term, they're problematic, which is everybody's favorite word these days.
Yeah. I tell you what, I just don't, the word problematic is problematic, but that's from our side.
And Powder Puff Nerd has joined the fray.
Hey, Powder Puff.
Yes, you need to throw in some words too.
Bruce snuck in here too. Bruce Lombardo.
Bruce.
Oh, look what he said. Bruce started off well. I tell people how I feel about China, COVID-19, Trudeau, Trump. So the next holiday, I have enough savings for a fishing trip. No worries.
Well, it'll definitely bring priests to your house because no one will want to come over.
Yeah.
Right. So, and apparently I missed this. Pat got a fez.
Oh yeah, and it was sweet. It had a D20 on it, and it was rolling a 1, so it was pretty cool. It should have got stolen. Whenever we play the game, the way we play the White Elephant gift is you open a gift. It can be the next person that goes after you to get a gift can either take your gift or open another one. But a gift can only be taken or stolen twice. But no one stole it after he stole it from Martinson. It's pretty good.
Instead of problematic, it's moblematic.
That's true.
First time I looked at it, I was like, moblematic? What are you trying to say? Mob.
Hey, long shots in the house.
This was. Hey.
I meant to hit that. Go ahead.
Powder Puff Nerd says you can't say no. That hurts people. Their little fifi in their little fifis. Yes, and T-shirt historian responded on Discord that was a good word to use because no one likes no.
Yeah. Legion, I don't know about this. He said, is this the whoops? Legion says it's okay. This isn't the Stanford list. They ended up locking behind an account due to backlash. I don't know about this.
No, it just came out of our heads or rear ends, whichever one you want to say.
Right. Some would say there's no difference. And
it was really inspired by the barbarian talk on Twitter.
Yeah. Yeah, and we did some of that last week. To be honest, like Joe threw us a few at me via email, and I started off with a definition of problematic because that always comes up. It says posing a problem, difficult to solve, open to doubt, debatable, not settled, unresolved, or dubious. But they don't even follow the idea of a definition. So something being problematic.
All that is fine too.
Yeah.
What you just said.
Yeah.
Problematic was fine to use until maybe 5 years ago when everything became problematic.
Yeah. Hey, Aaron Dragon, Merry Christmas. Yes.
Merry Christmas.
Indeed. Merry Christmas to everybody in the chat. That's right.
Thank you for reminding us.
Yeah, gosh, can't believe we forgot it. Yeah. Fantastic.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Comes up Sunday.
Yeah. Some of the words that Joe threw at me was like master, slave, barbarian. I added savage. I think you put oriental, exotic, and race. And then I tacked on species and gypsy.
Yeah. Yeah. And so
some of the words we thought, can't use. No one wants, they don't want you to use.
And I was thinking maybe we should, I said 10, so that's 9.
I know.
And I was thinking pagan, but nah, that's not quite as
I don't know if there's
problematic to these folks, but no, T-shirt historian suggested. So we'll add no to that list.
Oh, the word no. Yeah, because you're not supposed to ever say no. It's yes and or yes but. Joe is naughty. He gets hickory flavored tofu for dinner. Yeah. Yeah.
The ham is in the freezer. I can cook it if I'm naughty and you won't cook it for me.
Yeah.
I mean, all you have to do is get it hot. I mean, honestly.
True.
And really, who really eats tofu and says they like it? What they really mean is they like the flavorings that are poured on top of it.
Oh, Redskins, yeah. Yep. Redskins, that's football related, but still, that's a no-no word. Now they're the Commanders, which I don't hate the word Commanders. I don't. But it just seems. Here's a question. Why do they care? Why do they really care? Why do people, I mean, they have to be looking for this, right? It doesn't just show up and like, oh, my feelings hurt because someone said master, or my feelings hurt because someone said oriental. Are they really hurt by this stuff?
It's a puritanical mindset.
Yeah. Because they've constructed this worldview where all these things. Dark? Is that a bad word? Possibly.
Depends on the context, probably.
Cal. What about master and commander? Is that okay then?
Yeah, that's what it should be. The Redskins. The Washington Masters and Commanders.
That's what it should be. Wow.
I mean, that's definitely going to go over well. But no, they're Puritans. So they're taking up causes. A lot of times they're taking up causes for others in an attempt to purify in their minds whatever media they get their hands on.
And unasked for, especially even not to keep going back to football, but and Max said that the whole Redskins thing, a lot of American Indians were fine with it. They didn't care.
Right.
So I don't know.
So I wonder in Africa, when the warring tribes, the winners often took some of the losers as slaves.
Yeah.
And then after a time, they started selling them to folks from other countries. So I wonder if they had a word for the folks who were the slavers. What was the African word? That would be interesting. We could probably not. I probably just got our video kicked off of YouTube at some point in the future for mentioning
truth.
Fact. Yeah. And slavery's no good, no matter who's doing it. But some people seem to think that America invented it.
Yeah. What's the name of the show? I listen to the guy that does it on the podcast. His name is Jason Whitlock. He's a sports guy. I love that dude. And what is his? I can't think of the name of the show, and I love it. But anyway, he talks a lot about that. It's kind of ridiculous. Oh
yeah. Elle says, Joe, that goes against Woman King's lies.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jason.
Fearless.
The Fearless podcast. It's a great podcast.
Fearless podcast. Yeah. Woman King. Yeah. Total big lie.
Yeah, that's bullcrap. No one believes that. You watch the previews, you're like, that's ridiculous. Some 120-pound woman beating these big warrior dudes. Get out of here.
That's not the lie.
Oh, that they were not slavers.
That they were rescuing or doing good things and all that other stuff. No, they were just defending their slave ways against the British who were trying to end it.
Yeah.
I mean, the British had slaves at one point too, but they had ended slavery, and then I don't know the timeline, so I'm not the right person to go into too much detail. It was just Hollywood falsehood. I mean, they do that with all kinds of things. Hollywood gets a property, and what they do is they superficially, like tissue paper.
Mm-hmm.
They use that IP as tissue paper to very poorly cover up their own story or agenda that they're trying to push.
Yeah.
And generally speaking, that story or that IP is, not adhered to very well.
Yeah. Tim the Cafe Grognard said, War Before Civilization, The Myth of the Peaceful Savage is a must read. Oh, there's one of the no words already, savage.
Yeah.
Here's the thing I find, and this is my own, and I know it's not right. I even did it last week when Mr. Bavayan was talking about how you could use savages pejoratively, and I agree you can. When someone says you can't use a word, it makes me want to. And I want to use it just to piss them off. That's the truth.
So Powder Puff Nerd is correct, mankind. Because everyone is a woman in one fashion or another, apparently.
Yeah, apparently.
But yeah, mankind, remember that thing very recently where a minister in DC was doing a prayer for their prayer breakfast. It said amen and a women.
Yes.
And everybody who's, knows what amen means wanted to slap him upside the head because amen isn't referring to men.
It's just the level of stupid that we have today that people I don't know. They don't even think. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a Puritan. I think it's some sort of Puritan instinct where they just want to control what they believe they have taken over. The difference between this industry, role-playing, and say movies or media, other kinds of media, is with gaming. Yeah. We have a large collection of material that they haven't touched, that we can use at our table at our leisure and game in whatever way we want. And they can't control it. Nobody can control it. Even the folks that like us might want to say, hey, you're doing that differently.
Mm-hmm.
Well, who cares? That's how we're playing.
Yeah.
So they can't do anything about that.
No, they really can't. I mean,
and similarly, like with movies and books from a particular period and before, you can always go back and read those or watch them and enjoy them. But gaming is unique in that we can create our story, if you want to use the word.
Right.
That might be.
Well, doesn't bother me.
Right. It bothers some OSR folks, but
yeah.
Right. So when we play our games, we play however we want, and they can't affect it.
No, not really. Do you think that's the best approach to dealing with that? Lashing out, or even if you make fun of them, I mean, that's cool. It's cool.
Like what we're doing here, we can talk about it. It's not like we can't go to their house and twist their arms behind their back and say, you're not going to do this anymore. This is not going to happen. They're going to complain.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to, say things are problematic. They've infiltrated all of these industries through the HR departments of the various places. And once you get one person in, they just, bring a few in until they have enough, kind of like cancer or nuclear material. Once it gets to a certain amount, and it just ruins everything.
Side note, Green Apple says, why does story bother folks? It's literally an unfolding story. Yeah, some of the OSR people, because when they hear story, they hear someone, a DM writing his own story.
Story gamer is kind of a pejorative.
Yeah, pejorative, because like, oh, you're forcing the players down a path. Everything is set. Everybody gets their script. I actually had a guy tell me that once, and I think his analysis of that game was not completely wrong. I was being a little railroady, but he was also being a little bit of a wine bag, in my opinion. But that's neither here nor there. I do think that it is good to laugh at them. I made a list here of some of the things that happened in D&D and a few other role-playing games. We've talked about the drow and the orcs, monster alignment. The one that I had never seen was, and Joe has all these links. He'll have all the links in the show notes. The monster alignment we heard about, they're changing it so devils don't have to all be evil, and most drow are not necessarily evil.
They've got it to where it's the evil drow are just one splinter group.
But I had never heard that the Forgotten Realm should be replaced as the default setting for D&D due to the abundance of insensitive cultural analogs in the campaign world.
Which article was that from?
That was from the Forgotten Realms. Yeah, Screen Rant, Dungeons and Dragons dated offensive problematic changes. Yeah, that was one of them. Was Legion? Yeah, Legion's saying it right. Playing an RPG is creating an emergent story. Yeah,
if that's what you want to call it.
That's what you want to call it. It's not wrong to call it that. It is a type of story. We talk about it.
Yeah, it's a very disjointed story, and that's it being disjointed and not following the typical pattern of storytelling, like say in a book or a movie or a television show. Some DMs want to try to force story beats and rising action and tension and try to craft all that stuff like they were, something that it's not. All that happens with randomness.
L asks, D&D has a default setting now. Yeah, it does since 4th edition. Even 3rd edition, the books, they try to default to Greyhawk, but yeah, it kind of does now. That's true. Yeah.
I mean, if you didn't have, let's say, AD&D,
yeah,
if you didn't have any of the setting books, you can imagine somewhat of an implied setting in how things work, but not countries or political organizations or anything like that. But how the world works a little bit, although even that's all subject to interpretation. Magic works this way with the memorization and all that. Why it works that way is up to whoever's running the game, even if they even want to go into that.
I wonder, is this a dirty word? Welcome, Legacy Game Mastering. Another dirty word is unbalanced. Yeah, maybe, yeah. And we there was a long fascination with balance, discussion of balance, and that's
It
usually
still gets
amongst
kicked
players.
around now and again.
It sure does. I've gone from both. Well, I never knew about it, never worried about it until third. Then it became a bigger discussion point at our tables, and I was worried about balance. But now I don't really care. The players are having fun. I don't give a crap. Yes, it's like you're acting.
Right. So yeah, Max Boivin says the point in story gaming is that the story is predetermined and you force your players through it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's railroading. No, I don't like it. There are people that. Yeah. Okay, so if you're doing a one shot, say mm-hmm. At a convention, railroading is probably what you do, because you say it's like you start them out at the front door of the dungeon, and let them go from there. Because you can't. It's a 4-hour slot. If you're at a paid table, it's a 4-hour slot that you've paid for, and you need to get the most out of it. So you can't do a whole lot of town stuff to determine what you're going to do. So you have to, start at the door. You see a yawning cavern in front of you. What do you do?
Yeah, that's true. Elle says Matt Colville is complaining about D&D having D&D combat having balance issues. Okay, yeah, sure. And then Legacy says where there's no counterbalance is a myth. Dude, I can't disagree with that, because through no effort on my own, I, as an experienced game master, well into third edition, I've pulled encounters from the book that they said this would work, and I thought it would too, and it was super easy. And then I've done the same thing, and it was diabolically hard. But I think a lot of it's due to rolls and stuff. You can't always account for that.
You can't account for the rolling, at the very least. I mean,
and sometimes players will think of, like, a player may, like, I may not think about, look, here's going to be there's going to be this creature. What did I use? It was a red cap in the end of third edition. I remember our buddy Philip. He had this contingency spell, and my red cap got up on his wizard, and they do crazy damage with a scythe. And he had like some kind of immediate action spell that did lightning damage, and then something else happened, and he totally murdered the red cap. And I was like, that should have been really tough, but he had it ready. He was prepared for that situation, and it paid off.
And there, I just listened to. It's 2 months behind, but Legion of Myth's latest podcast release of their Rifts series, mm-hmm. and there's a quote about balance from the writer, Kevin Simbita, and he's talking about balance in Rifts, and it's a good lesson for balance in just about any fantasy game as well. The balance is not. Every character class has to be balanced against each other. They all have their thing that they do well, and they all have their weakness. The trick for the fella running the game, mm-hmm. and I said fella, running the game, is to make sure to make a use of the strengths and weaknesses. Because mm-hmm. if all you do is combat, then your glitter boys will always shine, and nobody else will have a chance to shine. For instance,
balance is not equity, and equity is not equity. I have a question. I wonder. Whoa! Look at this T-shirt historian. He got to play with James Ward. That's one of the big old school guys on Saturday, and he TPK'd us. That's some fine DMing there. That is some fine DMing.
To be TPK'd by Mr. Ward.
I heard Tim Cask is even worse. So well done, T-shirt. Well done.
And that's the thing about stories in D&D. There's an abrupt end. Everybody dies. That doesn't happen in regular stories. So it's, you got to use the word story very loosely with what happens at the game table.
Right. Yeah. I look, I do think as a DM, you don't just want to. I mean, I don't want to randomly select monsters, truly randomly. First level party. Oh, you got to fight orcas today. Oh well, But I do. I don't. I'll put in. I think it was Bruce somewhere along the line. Sometimes you got to put characters in to teach the players that they got to run. Sometimes.
He's trying to even everything out with the wood chipper.
Oh, okay.
It's all even. There's a Rush song called "The Trees," and that's kind of what happens in it, because some trees were complaining about other trees and made a big hubbub, and someone said, "Yep, we're going to end all this now and make all the trees the same height."
So back to the question we didn't really get at was the Forgotten Realms, whether it's the default setting or not, an abundance of insensitive cultural analog. So basically, they're saying if you have what's the Caratur on there, if you have Maztica, all those places are culturally appropriating something. Is that the problem they have with that then? Because there's all these places in the Forgotten Realms that are like the real world in some way.
Cultural sensitivity is for people without nuts.
I agree. Get over yourself.
I mean, it's infantile.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's in the West, in places like, we've talked about this before, like Japan.
Mm-hmm.
They love dressing up like Westerners.
Yeah.
Someone in Japan be, shaking their finger or wagging their finger like the lady I have on the thumbnail over there at them. It's a thing. They dress like they emulate things that they like. So when we emulate things that we find interesting in our games, that's all it is. We're emulating things.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of the words in here are Asian and exotic. And it's really weird. Oh, hello.
R.H. Snow.
We followed her on Twitter just today. She's an author. So cool. Thanks for coming by.
Yeah. Yes. What does she say there? It's discussions like that make me aware of how much of a, let's put that, it's discussions like this that make me aware of how much of a blast from the past I am. A good GM at one time was a guide to their group, but Rule 0 stands. They are supreme overlord. I preach. I agree. Preach.
Overlord. That's probably a naughty word now too.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, we loved Oriental adventures.
Yeah, that's cool.
Back in the day, we loved kung fu movies.
Yep.
Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee were icons for us.
7 deadly venoms, dude.
Right.
7 deadly venoms.
We loved making fun of what the dubbing they did.
Yeah.
And it's just it's weird that they call it cultural insensitivity. They're just, I think it's a product of environments where people's preconceived notions aren't challenged.
Right.
They get to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, and no one says, hey, I don't think so. None of that. That doesn't happen. Or if it does, they get thrown off the island, kicked out of the college. They lose their job, whatever.
Legion says his wife, who is Asian, my wife says you're allowed to love Oriental adventures. Thank you.
Great. We probably need that. We all need to have some kind of card where we are endorsed by an authentic Asian person.
Right.
Although Kwan, the Kwan guy, David Kwan,
yeah,
David Kwan, he said that's not good enough. Even if you're married, I think he was digging at Legion. Even if you're married to someone who's Japanese, you can't play these things.
How about this, David Kwan? How about I don't care. I don't need anybody's endorsement, and I can play any way I want to, and I can do all sorts of weird stuff at my table, and you can suck it.
Spurg. We can say Spurg. Thank you.
That's allowed. Okay, cool. But not that I would. I mean, I'm not looking to hurt people's feelings, but sometimes when they come off with this bull crap, it really just makes me want to do it. Stuff that I wouldn't do anyway. I just want to say it more and more.
Right. Well, this started in T-shirted brings up a very good point. Daniel Kwan is a grifter.
Yep.
He just wanted to get paid for doing Candlekeep Mysteries and doing some generic kung fu stuff. I'm editorializing.
Yeah.
He also got mad because of species. Right. But this, I remember it had to be 4 or 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
There was a professor who had done a study on D&D,
Mm-hmm.
and he was looking at the old books,
Sure.
old D&D books.
Right. AD&D before.
Right, the
Free.
little pamphlet books.
Oh, white box.
Right?
Gotcha.
All black and white drawing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, there's only white people in these books.
Which was not
Remember
true.
that? Remember
That's
that?
not true. Yes, but that's not true.
Right. So he said there's only white people in these books. But when you look at it, there's an Asian dude, but it's line drawing. So the paper's white, the lines are black. So it's dumb. I mean, how did this guy become a PhD and couldn't see that this is line drawing? There was an oriental fella, someone from the Middle East, as a spellcaster of some kind. There's a few of them, like 3 or 4. There's a woman in there, and it's just
Yes.
stupid.
Yep. I hope I can find it. A friend of ours said the same thing to me, and I said, no, you're wrong. In fact, there's a guy with a turban in there, a wizard. So he's apparently, I mean, that would be what? Middle Eastern, maybe? Oh,
So Tunka Todd, I love saying his name, Tunka.
It's a good name.
Again, I say the word I have issue with is problematic. Yes, I just noticed that he was here. Hello, Tunka. Yeah, it's there's various reasons why these words are problems for people. Sometimes, like with Asian or Oriental,
Yep.
it's an actual person of Asian descent who's from Canada, so he probably has very little personal experience to draw from, but he's doing his best to wag his finger at everybody and change the books.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, someone said that, repeated something to me. I grabbed the old book, said, look, you're actually wrong. Here's 2 women almost immediately. And here's a dude who's clearly not white because he's got the turban. That makes no sense. At a bare minimum, he's some Middle Eastern, Far Eastern person. So, that's, and who was it? Max, Mr. Max makes the point you did, if the drawing is not in color, how can you tell someone's race is their skin color, whatever? You can't. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
And I didn't know anybody that this mattered to. It only started mattering in the last decade, maybe.
Which makes it sound very weak.
Certain people. Nobody cared.
Do you think just, I tell you what I want to do, because like I said, everybody knows I'm writing an adventure. I'm also at work with a couple of the guys on an RPG. And I've told one of my co-conspirators multiple times when he's had to deal with that, say at Gen Con, some of this silly stuff. I want to write that stuff. I want to write that stuff in there on purpose. Like, I almost want to say, just to piss them off, look, in my world, there's no homosexuals. You know what I'm saying? Just to make them mad. Just to make them mad. Right. Not because I care what the sexuality of your character is. I literally don't. In fact, when we play D&D, that's not even a concern. I'm not sure why you even worry about it, but because we kill monsters and take their stuff. But I don't understand. They get so mad about stuff. It's just like, I just want to really piss them off. But that's probably not a good attitude, right?
No, but I think what you can do, and it's legitimate, right? This is about adventuring. So you have people who look heroic on the cover of your book, and in whatever interior art you might have if you make a book. Yeah. So you have a big Conan looking dude on your cover.
Right.
And you could even have like the Star Wars themed, like an homage to the Star Wars A New Hope poster, right? With Luke with the lightsaber and Leia's hanging off his leg, right?
Right.
You can pay homage to that in a fantasy vein, kind of like they do with a lot of art.
Yeah.
Without being too problematic. But you have a manly dude.
I want to be problematic. That's the thing.
But you don't have to go that far. You don't have to say none of these kind of people are in my game. You don't have to do any of that. You can do it in a very understated way.
Oh, wow. T-shirt said something just goes along with some of Max's joke and the fear of D&D 1. I hate to say this because I fear I may have spoken it into existence, but look for D&D 1 to have a form of social credit score. I ranted about it this past Saturday and people's blood ran cold. That would be pretty bad.
Well, social credit scores are coming. They already have them over in the East, and they're starting to over in Europe in one fashion or another. And honestly, reputation here is kind of a social credit score.
Yeah.
And if if your reputation gets slandered by the woke mob, it's kind of operates in a similar fashion. Not completely, but it does have a shade of that. And people want it. People want it.
Yeah. Tim Caffeinated Grognard says Monsters and Treasures, which is the second or third book, the purple worm is also white. How racist.
Yes, Caucasian purple worm. It should be ashamed of itself.
And David Giles says, I'm problematic because I'm a white dude. So maybe whatever I make, I don't need to worry about. Just have a small little picture of my face so they can see, oh, a white guy wrote it. Now we need to hate it.
Yeah, put our faces inside cover.
Yeah, just a little in the corner somewhere so they can go, oh my
gosh. Oh, no, that's going to be the name of the company, the imprint. Two white dudes.
There you go.
Two white dudes. I mean,
oh goodness. Well, there were some others, and I know these are older. The other RPGs to kind of squeeze a few things in here. Warhammer had the female space marine,
right? And right, because some people are in this article. It says what really went down. There were space marines back in the day, but the actual lore from people who know what they're talking about. Most of these are from people who get told instead of people who know. Right. And everybody I've talked to who knows or who I've listened to, not talked to personally, they all say the same thing. There were never female space marines. There was a female offshoot, and they might have existed at some point early on, and I can't remember what they're called. Somebody here, Sisters of Battle.
Sisters of Battle, thanks, David.
So they existed as a separate thing. They were, I think that happened because of the situation there. They had to, because all the dudes were dead or something like that. I can't remember, but they had Sisters of Battle, and then all the Space Marines were guys because the Space Marine program is built for men. Mm-hmm. Right. I don't know all the technicalities, but the whole Space Marine program is built around dudes.
Mm-hmm. RH makes a good comment here. Wrong person. They keep talking so fast. They're awesome here. They can't police what I create. My modile, I don't know what that is. Is mine. My dungeon's my dungeon. I will not comply. Good on you. Very good on you.
Yeah, that's a new word for us here. We're not as educated as some other folks.
I still like it.
Modile, I don't know.
I still like it. Don't comply.
It's a good word. Keep using that word.
Yes.
Whoops.
Module. She said
this is our level of sophistication we have here at Biggest Geekus. Boob armor, best armor.
No, she meant module.
Module, right.
Module,
right.
Yes. Okay. I didn't know.
Modile sounds like a thing, though.
It does. It sounds like something that we probably. I should make a modile. I feel like I should.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm gonna write that down. Create a modile. That's cool. Yeah. So and then did you read the Vampire 5e? I remember this happened way back when.
I tried reading some of these.
They're hard to read. I know.
Well, the one, which one was it? I can't remember which one it was. One of these, it was like a line of text surrounded by ads.
Gosh,
all of this stuff. And hey, we want to send you a notification. I say, hey, screw you, and close the window.
The people that are making the V5 vampire game, Yeah, T-shirt. I agree is garbage. I agree because I don't like the people, but I trust your analysis. T-shirt V5 is garbage, but it based it on this guy because one part of the original words in that book said something about the Bruja would be dressed like this, or a neo-Nazi. And this guy wrote a huge article, and I looked at the article, and he just went nuts on that one part of the phrase saying, oh, they make their game for neo-Nazis. No, he said the Bruja might dress like these 5 things, and neo-Nazi was one of them.
Right.
Holy cow.
And one of the other problems, that's why I stopped reading it, when in the text, the one vampire was saying, we are superior to them because we are superior to them, essentially. And then his counterpart was saying, everything you have said is wrong. And then the writer of the article was like, and this shows blah, 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 blah. But I'm like, okay, Blade. Great movie. Blade. In that, the bad guy says, because when he's in this council and all these vampires are talking about how they can make sure that the humans are well taken care of and remain their food and whatnot. And he's looking at them and says, what are you talking about? They're food. Well, I don't care. So he's saying the same thing in a different way. Right. And in Rifts, they have a whole country of vampires that maintain humans as cattle.
Right.
So, I mean, saying that a person or a creature who thinks that they are superior to another creature makes them Nazis. So I think that humans are superior to ants.
Yes. So you're a
Does
Nazi.
that make us Nazis?
I guess.
Does that make me a Nazi for thinking that?
Yeah. Patrick made a comment, and he doesn't need to share, but I want to share something with everybody. And I got to be careful because I don't want to say any names. He got his first write-up at his new job today for uttering something at work. And I'm sure what he uttered was very nothing. The person who went to HR about me was offended because I said a word I can't say. And what I said had nothing to do with him. Let me tell you this story. This is sad. So a friend of mine, a mutual friend of ours, lives out of state, is a teacher, and he teaches special ed students. One of them has issues with anger and can break off into violence. And he was coming after this person who's the teacher. The mutual friend is a teacher. Let's call him Fred. His name is not Fred. And Fred, of course, handled the situation, called for help because the student was getting very violent, and they had to come in to restrain the kid, and they got him out of the classroom. And the kid was calling him all sorts of words, including the N-word. Well, Fred is white, not that that matters, but the kid's a little off, has problems.
Yeah.
And he used the N-word. And they asked this teacher, Fred, what happened. And in his report, they said, what did the kid say exactly? Well, he repeated what the kid said. He didn't say the N-word. He said the word. Mm-hmm. And they put him on suspension. They said, you used the word in your report. We have a zero tolerance policy. You cannot use that word in any capacity. And they want him, and they're going to lead to his firing. And if he doesn't apologize, and I was like,
to who is he apologizing?
Correct. For reporting what a kid said. He actually said the N-word. The kid said this word. And which, by the way, I mean, that bothers me a little bit. I think that word is atrocious and mean. But there's lots of mean things you can say to people. But I almost wish they would let people say anything they want to, because then we'll actually know who the bad people are.
Right.
Let people speak. And
right. Let people speak. Mm-hmm. We can decide who we want to associate with based on how they act.
Yeah. But I couldn't believe that he just quoted what the kid said, and they suspended him. That's ridiculous.
But academia. It's academia.
His lawyer said he thinks he's got a case, and they can. I would say
what state, if you want to say?
I think it's Midwest. I think it was Iowa. That sounds right. But it's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Yeah. Patrick says that sounds familiar. Yeah, I mean, it's like you couldn't even quote somebody. Yeah, I agree. I used to like the idea of zero tolerance. Zero tolerance in schools is BS. There was a valedictorian that left a box cutter in the bed of his truck after volunteering. It was there as he was in school and was suspended. Yeah, it's just stupid.
That's the thing, though. The reason, I think, one of the reasons this stuff happens more at universities is because there are so many people in universities. So you need to have more people working there. And the more people you have working there and going there as students, the more they're going to be this kind of person there. I mean, it's just numbers.
I tell you, I'm in a community college. I teach there, and it's woke enough, but man, I can't imagine being in the school I graduated from. I don't think I could go there now. I couldn't take it. So
I'm glad. I'm glad I was there when I was.
yeah,
There wasn't even any hint of any of this stuff.
no, I think there was a hint when I was there, but you could ignore it. It didn't matter. But now I've told Joe this, and I would tell all you guys this as a professional educator: don't send your kids to public schools. Do not. Yeah.
Yes, power.
Yeah.
All this is about power.
Yep.
As R.H. Snow is saying. It's conditioned people to be afraid of words. Words must be presented as greater threat than actions. That way, as long as words are acceptable, their actions are okay. Yeah. And it doesn't serve anybody to force everybody to act a particular way, to force them by law. It's one thing to have social norms that people can adhere to or not, and then associate or not with folks of like mind. When you have social norms, you can do that in small groups. But if it's forced on you by law or by these things that are in school, everybody has to act a particular way. And like Randy was saying, you can't tell who the good guys and the bad guys are, or you just can't tell what kind of people they really are.
Right.
So, right. And there are folks on our side of this divide, if it's a divide, who want to enforce our way, to have a Christian ethno state, or to make Christianity some kind of law. That's what the Puritans were trying to do.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that.
No.
Not really, because it's false. If it's enforced by law, people will just do it because it's the law.
They don't
ones that will, and when they're out in public, and then in the private, they'll be different. It'll just make a bunch of false people. It's not good.
Did you get to read the Deadlands article?
I started again.
Well, again, it's more to check. It's one of those that I can almost.
I know the story, so I didn't really.
The story about him riding the CSA, the Confederate States of America, out of the Deadlands setting. He made a good point. He stood up and said, "I wanted to do this because I have Black friends, and I don't want this to be a problem. And it's my game, and I can do it if I want to." And I respect that.
It's his game.
He wasn't pushed to do that. The article that he's going to share, Bruce asked for to share it. I think that's
which one with the
Deadlands. The Deadlands one, yeah. This happened 2019. He came out and took out the CSA so there wouldn't be any slavery in the game, and basically made it seem, and also that took out, he said, look, women, I think he said in his previous books too, that women were treated pretty fairly because there's some good gunslinger women and stuff. And that's true. That's all fine and dandy. But I think it's just hard for me to imagine an Old West game, even with Magic, that all of a sudden we're going to have mores and morals and beliefs that are exactly the same as they are today. No, you're not. And if you want to say they do, sure, it's magical, it's make believe, you can do that. But
if you even want to get into that in your at your table, one way or the other,
right? Well, and Malachi said this, and this is why I'm not as upset. I was not as upset with Shane. Yeah, we are. He respects him because he doesn't care what you do at your table, right? And it was his game, and he can write whatever he wants, and they all can, but they don't have to come out like all preachy and stuff and act like they can make us do something. And that's where I was saying he was kind of the exception on this list. So, yes, he did move it forward. I don't mind ending the war, but just getting rid of the CSA, I don't know. Not at my table. They still exist. I like that better. I like that conflict.
Right. The thing is, a concern about writing a period piece, especially when there's such a controversial subject as the American Civil War, or the War for Southern Independence, however you want to frame it. You're kind of stepping into potentially controversial waters. I mean, if you just pick what you're doing and you go with it and you don't care what your critics might say, then fine. But otherwise, yeah, if he changed it based on popular demand or I don't think the mob changed him. Maybe he just didn't want that to be a problem. So didn't want it to be a problem for his friends who are black. Were there people who were black that had a problem with it in the first place? Because when you play, you can or can't, or you can choose to, or you can choose not to, or can ignore completely the whole thing. Because you're playing in the West.
Yeah.
Right? Essentially.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and if you go out, and if you truly go out west, that's not really a thing. I mean, no one's a slave in the West, but you don't have to have slavery. I'm okay with that. I just think it's, I don't know. It just felt a little weak for me. I think he'd lost some cool conflict. R.H. Snow says that is what games and stories are so. That is what games and stories are so important. Anyone who grew up playing heroic iconoclasts will fight giving power to anyone. They must erase the heroic ideal. You talked about this once, Joe. Once they erase it, it's gone. That's kind of scary, but you're probably on to something there.
Yeah, I mean, how long have we been in this dark hero trend?
Yeah,
where you can't have an iconic hero person. I mean, no, everybody poops on Superman for being a good guy. And they poop on paladins a lot. That's good. That's actually probably good because a lot of people don't play paladins very well.
Right.
But Superman is an iconic type of person, and they say, "Oh, he's too perfect." Well, if you just want to deal with him superficially, yeah, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't have heroes. You can. This whole thing about playing monsters is the same in the same vein, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you think it's worth your time? I mentioned the knee-jerk reaction to, to do something in my adventure, or if I'm running a game that kind of kicks them, that blaringly says, "Yeah, I'm doing exactly what you hate." But I'm not sure that's a good way to combat it. It's probably just causing friction where maybe there doesn't have to be.
So what you do is you present. I think it depends on your game, the setting of your game. If you're making a generic game, who cares? But if your setting is important to the game, if you're making a new one, and it's about heroes, then they should appear heroic in the artwork. And there's certain ways to present heroism in the art. And I think that's kind of lost in modern gaming, especially over at Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah, I didn't get to finish you had a video legacy game mastering in relation to this. He says, mock the idiots, or mock the ideas, ignore the idiots, and game your own way. Yeah, that's probably the best.
And, I was thinking about Drow today.
Oh, boy. It's problematic, Joe. You should not.
Well, it's problematic.
You should not be thinking about them.
And in the article about the Drow here, there's a real weirdo who
yes, it is. She
was talking about dark elves, and Drow aren't dark elves. Drow are Drow. Yeah. Drow is a thing separate from dark elves.
Right.
And so whatever she's trying to do there, but there's a reason why they're matriarchal. And they are associated with the Queen of Spiders.
Yep.
And spiders, a lot of spider species, the female of the species is bigger, stronger, and kills the men. Kills the male spiders.
Right.
So I'm not sure if they went with that on purpose or that developed afterward somehow, but it kind of reflects spider politics as it is,
right?
In a way, and it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
No one should worry about that.
Right, I agree.
And of course, I didn't get much into that article.
No, it's
after
hard.
She said that she wrote a 37-page fanfic and that after going through, she wrote the fan fiction. I'll put that link in the chat as well. She wrote fan fiction based on the fact that when she went through this 5th edition Drow module, her character ended up having a Drow boyfriend. So she was inspired to write 37 pages of fan fiction. I mean, come on. That's odd. I mean, that male Drow boyfriend, he's destined to become a Drider at some point. So why even bother?
Yeah. Oh. Well, anything else you want to talk about the no word? Oh, how much of it was porn?
The fan fiction.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
Who knows? I didn't. Once she outed herself as a fan fiction writer in that vein, I was like, yeah, I'm out. There's no reason to read any more of this.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, it's coming down to the wire. I have to choose my time wisely. I'm an old man. I have to choose what I do with a little bit of wisdom. It's not always. It doesn't always happen, but
no. Oh boy.
Right. So I thought that I thought the 40K story was hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. Did we touch all these words? Gypsy has been a big thing for a while now. That the word gypsy you're not supposed to use, or gyp.
Right.
I've been gypped.
Right.
You say that, oh boy.
Yeah, bad news.
People come out of the woodwork to want to stab you in the back. Oh, sorry. That's probably problematic as well.
Stab in the back.
Right. But gypsy, they had to change to Romani. Or they used gypsy and Romani interchangeably at one point, and I think here in the modern era they just use Romani, perhaps, or just some other word for that group of people in Ravenloft lore.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they made them less gypsy-like.
Yeah. They did all they could, and they gave Madame Ava, she had a prosthetic leg, or she was in a wheelchair or something, and they just had to completely turn it upside down. Yeah, Vistani. Yeah. Look, okay, fine, but you know what? I think we're too sensitive, man. In the end, we're too sensitive. Yeah. So I just don't care. I've never, in my mind, the idea of calling someone a gypsy was never, to me, when I'm using it, I'm never thinking derogatorily. I thought they were travelers. That's the way I thought of them. That was it. So, yeah, Max said it.
Yeah. I'm a fan of Danny Kaye. He's a performer from back in the day. He had this whole song in one of these old movies from the 40s where he talks about being a gypsy. I thought being a gypsy sounded fun to me. Yeah. I didn't think anything of it.
Yeah. And one time I thought it was just a more organized version of is this a no word? A hobo? Is that a no word too?
Which one?
Hobo? Didn't they like jump trains and travel around the U.S. and live on the trains?
I'm not sure.
Not a hobo.
I mean, in our present day, in the real world, they want to do away with certain words that diminish in some way people. So homeless, you don't want to use hobo or whatever. No, people who are experiencing homelessness. I mean, it's they have to torture the English language to get their point across.
I'm not really shocked. I mean, I think I'm sure right.
So considering that that people want to replace the A in woman with an X or whatever in the real world, and that we have people who can't really tell you what women are in the real world, it's no wonder that we have people wanting to shoehorn the fantasy that we experience, that we play through in some kind of way. It's just stupid.
Mm-hmm. I have a question. Here's one. Legacy makes a comment, just a technicality. How you say a word matters. Using racial slurs to discuss defamation in a law class is a lot different than calling a person one. Okay.
Yeah. So context matters.
Does it matter? if you're, and this, not that I want to, but it's going to sound like, if you're on the street and you call a person a racial slur, I mean, do they have any recourse other than popping you in the face? Maybe.
Say that again.
If you use a racial slur, is that breaking a law?
Well, it depends on what country you're in.
Okay. RH clarified. She said, yes, hobos rode the rails during the. I thought so, but I'm sure that word is bad now. I'm sure I can't use hobos anymore. But thanks for clarifying. I appreciate it.
Right. So there's a song called Gypsy from Fleetwood Mac. Imagine Fleetwood Mac changing their song to Romani. It wouldn't work.
I know the song. Yeah. Oh, well.
Because for most of us, when we were young in the 80s, we just thought it meant like vagabond or drifter or someone who just traveled around a lot. Not a bad person. But you see some television shows from the 50s, the black and white ones especially. They will almost invariably have gypsies in their shows being thieves and con artists almost all the time.
Okay. Oh, Legacy says it's just uncouth to do that. And of course, you can get your face busted too, which probably you would deserve. You would probably deserve. That would probably fix a lot of things if people had to be careful about how they spoke to each other. Yes.
The jerk.
You jerk. Cal, you jerk. Oh. All right. You want to tell them to do the things, man, or we're going to
Well, before I tell them to do the things, there's another thing I want to tell them to do.
Yes.
I want to suggest they do.
Okay.
None of this is to say that we should go around telling other people how to play their games or how to talk or what to write or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're just pointing out how it's a problem if you're trying to police everybody.
Correct.
The other thing is I would say use it as caution for yourself, lest you become as bad as them.
Right. I think if someone wants to monitor and cultivate their game table such that they don't want to use those words and only want people that'll do certain things, do what you want.
I mean, at our game tables, if there's any sexual things going to happen, it's a fade to black thing. Correct. We don't go into any detail. It's not that we don't go into gory details in combat. Almost none, really. People die, the monsters die, lots of hit points there, and we just imagine all the gore. We don't talk about it. So there's things we do at our table that other people may not. Other people may get really into the description of how the organs are spilling out of their guts and blah, blah, blah. We don't do that.
Mr. Boivin says, I have no intention of becoming as bad as them. I want to become much
worse. The idea is not to become Puritan in the vein of trying to control other people.
Nope. Just run your own table, DMs, you decide what's happening at your table, and if players don't like it, there's a door they can go out of. Yeah. And if they like it, they can stay enjoying the fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that simple.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
All right. There you go. I'm using the wrong one. That's the right one.
Right. Very good.
The other one we can't keep using without at some point, if we keep using it, Max will likely want a cut of our take, which is fine because we don't take anything. He'll get a big fat check with 0 on it. But that's great. Subscribe, hit the bell notification, thumbs up if you're on the podcast listening in. If you haven't torn your hair out already, please follow or subscribe, whatever it is that your app allows you to do.
Yes.
Leave a review. That would be great. Let us know how we're doing. And we will take that into consideration. If it's a bad review, we'll read it on the show. Yep. And depending on why it's bad, we might laugh like we did the last one.
Or we might cry. I mean, you could really be right and my feelings could get hurt.
It's possible.
I'm a very gentle
we were called breathers in the last bad review.
What's that? Yeah, mouth breathers. That's true. That's the mouth breathing. All right. So let's go on to the next segment here. We're going to do is it really all that it's cracked up to be? Now, we're not going to do a movie. This is a segment where we revisit games, comics, movies, TV shows, mechanics, things we've done in the past. And we want to see if it still kind of tickles our fancy. Oh, legacy. I have feelings. Oh, yeah, I'll cry. I cry real easy. So we're going to look at TSR D&D. And this is from me and Joe, and then is it me and Joe or Joe and I's?
Joe and I.
Joe and I, but our perspective. This is from Joe and I. This is from Joe, I don't know, English people. Our perspective, because we played about 5 levels of BX D&D recently, but we're going to look through the lens of the OSE, kind of focusing on TSR D&D and OSR stuff. What did you like about it? Joe and me. Thanks, Legion.
Character creation, fast.
Yes. +1.
If your character died, you didn't care because you need to make another one in 5 minutes.
Right. Which is not the case in many of the games we played after old school.
Right. So if you make your character and you die 5 minutes later, it's not that big of a deal. Right. So it's going to matter still with these characters if you've played them for months and months and then you die. So it's going to be a loss. But still, it takes 5 minutes to make a character. For some people.
Look at Powder Puff stepping up for us. If you can't send money, send candy, and she'll manage that part of the donations.
Yeah. Except they don't have an address to send it to. So
true. Can they send it a digital candy?
They can do it in chat with emoticons.
Right.
I'm sure there's some kind of candy there. It's hard to eat though.
Yeah.
It might stick in your teeth a little.
Right. I guess another thing I really liked about the old school game, and again, we're focusing more on OSE. I love the power of the spells. Oh.
With regard to your character dying.
Oh. Yeah. Somebody
says no, it's a big deal.
I do like the power of the spells.
And there you go. There's some electronic candy right there.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah. Right on, sister. Says she's doing her part. We appreciate that. Biggest Geek doesn't need to get any bigger. So I like the spell power. Unlike some of the other games where it was kind of, especially in 3rd edition, where they're so well defined. Not that they didn't have powerful spells, but they were so well defined that sometimes you're like, they can do this, but they can't do that. The way they worded the spells, you'd be like, that can do all sorts of stuff. Yes.
So David Guile says, Biggest Geek is only 5 minutes to roll up a new character. But what about the 5-page backstory? Well,
I didn't think of that. I would probably send that person to the other room to finish writing their backstory while we play the game.
Yeah.
So,
T-shirt historian says, I was mentioning this the other day because of how players are wearing races as skin suits and playing themselves in the 5e game. They get attached to the character like the old Jack Chick tracks. Yeah, because they're basically self-inserts.
Not Blackleaf. Yeah.
It's really silly.
Yeah.
But and everybody in the chat is saying not Blackleaf. No, not Blackleaf.
I would say that's pretty well known. So, yeah.
Yes.
I had that. I have a couple copies of that.
Yes, David. It is what he means. What he means by the other room is outside, and then you lock the door.
Correct. Please exit stage left. Did you like the spells? I thought they were kind of cool.
They were, and this is the thing with when you look at the older game, and then you compare the same named spells to 1st edition, 2nd edition, 3rd edition, and you see what became issues weren't issues early on, like illusion spells for one thing. Was it Phantasmal Force? I think I read, and it was very, very simple. A very simple description, and none of the problems that cropped up in say, second or third edition would have if they had stuck with that version of the spell or something close to it.
Right.
But when someone new gets the reins, they usually change some key points just to call it their own for some reason, and then introduce problems where they didn't exist. However, some spells you can't defend against that they're too powerful, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Like sleep. It's probably a tad too powerful for a first level spell. But it's designed, you can see the wargaming element in it, because you could just lay waste. You can just go into a town and tell it to go to sleep, and then you can rob it blind. I mean,
Legacy Game Master, I miss Saber Suck spells like Power Word Kill. Yeah.
Yeah, and if to me, if you're not going to get a saving throw, you're probably going to limit the targets a bit more than what are described in the spell.
What else did you like about the play?
It was simple and straightforward.
Yeah. And I did use some movement rules that were more akin to third edition, though we didn't do any AOOs. We used groping initiative. I go first.
Initiative was very, very popular with some people.
It was. They enjoyed not going first and being groped first. Others not so much. I think for me, I did like the group initiative for speed, but I am one of those guys that like combat to move. I like the action to move quickly. I hate it. That's why I'm a little worried about rifts, if it's just going to feel too slow. But you know what? It doesn't make it bad. Maybe I just need to let it, relax and let it happen.
There is a thing that I'm seeing a lot of commentary on, and is that everything has to move at the speed of light. Fast, 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 fast. Okay, it's your turn. You're not done yet? I mean,
why haven't you gone yet?
Yeah.
I've waited 4 seconds. Yeah, I think there's a bit of that that's overblown.
It can be too slow, like in movies where everything is slow-mo.
Mm-hmm.
The first time you see the heroes, they walk in slow-mo for 10 minutes. No, I don't really care for that. But there's probably, a balance that can be reached.
I did like reading the monster entries. They were so small. And I was like, there were multiple times like, oh my God, the session's about to start and I don't know what a ghoul does. 2 seconds of reading, you're like, got it, let's go. I really think I just like the feel of a lot of it. The simplicity of the character advancement too was simple. What didn't you like though? I mean, was there anything else you liked? I get anything else that I would say, ooh, I liked a lot.
The main things I just said. What I think what I didn't like is that, okay, I can have fun playing any game with our group.
Yes, because we're awesome.
We're cohesive.
I'm an amazing DM.
Yeah.
Good point.
But, and we have an amazing DM. And next time you get in a nut shot, if you don't pipe down. So I like a bit crunchier game, a little bit more complexity. Trading hits to me is old hat, and it's kind of not satisfying.
Right.
It's fast.
Yeah, but that's about it. Yeah. I agree. It's a little just. And now I did think it was interesting. You commented once with the spell system. We'll go to the dislikes more. That when I was like, I had a spellcaster, you guys were fighting, and I was doing my best to get a spell off, but you guys were doing your best to make sure he didn't. And it does. That is the strategy in old school. You can't let the bad guys get their spells off.
And it's a strategy that should still persist.
Yes.
One of the things that older games do wrong is it being nearly impossible to disrupt spellcasting. And I know that it was maybe a little too easy. You breathe next to a wizard in old D&D, you'll lose your spell.
Right.
Or they can be on the other side of the continent, and all they're going to get is a -4 to hit.
Right.
you know, and then and if they're high enough level, it won't matter because your armor class is going to be a 9.
Right.
So, so they're going to disrupt your spell. But the idea can be carried into other games, and instead of all this, spellcaster almost always gets a spell off.
Mm-hmm.
That should be done by the party to create some cohesion so that they keep the bad guys off of you, instead of you just being able to take a 5-foot step back, or I mean, if you win initiative, you win initiative, and your spell goes off as long as casting time is appropriate. But it's very, very much too hard to disrupt a spellcaster in the more modern games.
For sure. I mean, I don't even know. 5e has a way to do it, I think, but it's pretty rare. There's a lot of spells that just get done. I don't know those that play 5e. It's pretty tough to disrupt, I think. 13th Age, that was not a thing. 3rd edition was pretty hard too. Even in 3.0 when they had the concentration check, because wizards would just pump it, and I had a bad guy wizard at high level. It didn't matter what spell he was casting. You could not disrupt it.
Right.
You could make his concentration check on a 1. So it didn't matter.
Right.
But then they changed it to damage dealt and got a little more interesting. But 5-foot step made it pretty different. So what didn't you like? What things did you not like? Was there anything that you disliked about the game? And just so you know, we are going to pick it back up. But I just mean, were there things?
I don't think there's anything I disliked. There's just things I didn't like as much. I mean, the level of complexity isn't a dislike thing. I prefer games that are a little more complex than old school D&D is, but I can't say that I don't like it.
So you would like a little more complexity, something for you to chew on as a player, such as messing with resources and stuff.
I think I have an issue with, and the word was in my head and it jumped right out because I'm an old person. Abstractions. There's a little bit too many abstractions, I think, for my taste. And that's why 13th Age rubs me the wrong way now. I don't, there's enough abstractions already for fantasy gaming in general. Abstracting combat to you're swinging a bunch, and then when you make your roll, that's the one telling blow of the entire that entire round, and you still might miss or not really do any damage.
David Gall, I think, is answering my 5e question. He said that Randy Nichols just ready in action to shoot the caster when he starts. That's how you disrupt. And R.H. Snow looks like she plays a lot like my wife Debbie did early on. She says, "This is why I like my DMs to know all this." I'm like, "Oh, it's my turn. I was getting snacks," which is important. Snacks are important to have. But yeah, my wife was like that too. She would just say, "Tell me what I have to roll." And during 2nd edition with Thaco, she didn't even try. She was like, "Just tell me what to roll."
Yeah, that's what you do when you're a paladin. You destroy demons. You don't have some half demon in your party and you're like, looking the other way or letting them torture people. That's the way to do it.
That's the way to play a paladin. Hey, Hungar the Starvarian's in the house. What's up, bud? Welcome. How would you rate it? OSE in particular. How would you rate OSE?
Probably a 7.
7? Yeah. I think I'm very biased because it was just so easy to prep. Most of my preparation was Randy being creative, thinking of story elements and setting elements and cool challenges, not worrying about all the little rules and stuff. I would give it an 8.5 for something that I could just sit down and play it, and I didn't care. Even the first couple of sessions, I'd yet to read the whole book. I just read bits and pieces of it. Because it's like,
we have a huge advantage from having played various editions of D&D for 40 years.
Yeah.
So this is an easy to pick up game for us. We just have to look at some nuances.
And that's if we care.
Sometimes details. And and I think there were times when you just made a determination. There were a couple of times you asked for input, and then we just rolled with it, and then we looked it up later.
Yeah. And it might have been different, but didn't make much difference. Yeah. I think I'd give it an 8.5, just because I think my enjoyment. But I think a 7 is probably a fair score for it. What's that? What's Draco Pole saying?
Draco Pole is saying worst character name, Sailbad the Sinner. Next worst, Elvish Parsley. That's funny. I like that.
Oh, Legacy Game Masters calling me a blasphemer. You must read the whole book. I have read it, but not before the game. Not for the first 2 games. I was not that focused. I read the basic rules, and then I looked at stuff and said, I'm not doing that. I can do that better. See ya.
And this is another advantage because we in the Twitterverse, people were talking about knowing the rules before you change the rules is important. And we just got this. We just started playing this, but the thing is, this is the game we've played forever,
right?
So it's very easy to say, yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah.
But if this is Rifts,
yeah, I'm not going to be dropping. I'm not going to be changing stuff left and right because I'm like, I don't know if I like it or not. I want to see it in play.
We got to play it.
Yeah, we got to play it first, and we are
at least a couple times.
Yeah,
and I'm probably going to play a support character. Did you see that?
Yeah, prepare to play next week. We're playing, so get ready.
Do you know how many people?
I'm going to have at least 6. I'm not going to go past 8 for sure. I think I want 6, so that'll be fun.
More. We need more.
We need to play 12 people, dude. It's a new game, dude. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. I like 6. 6 is my sweet spot with old school games.
Yeah, it's going to depend. I'm going to make an operator probably, and maybe a frontline person. Depends on other people.
Yeah, Martinson, who played in our OSC game, says, as someone who never played old school, I would give it an 8. I really enjoyed it. So simple compared to 3.x, so much less crunch. Yeah, you focus more on the magic and the wonder of the game, not so much can I get a plus 54 to my attack roll.
Yeah. And that's the other thing about the old game. Old School Essentials doesn't really have it because it's generic. It's even more generic than the D&D that we used to play.
Yes.
D&D,
yes,
and all of that.
Yeah.
But there was quirkiness in the old game and some interesting flavor in the books that I think lacks in the modern stuff. Yeah, but that's all a taste thing. That's all.
We played basic and expert of BECME, and OSC is more of the BX expert MOBA. But we were quickly into AD&D. I mean, we moved pretty fast. It was maybe a year that we played the old stuff. So I think our experience was with a more complicated version of D&D and AD&D, and so this felt really simple and light. And I like it. I mean, I'm not getting rid of it. This is a game I'll go to.
Is that directed at me? Is it up to me?
Yes.
Tim
Joe.
Scott says up to you. I think he's talking to me, so it's up to me.
Sweet. How should people play, Joe?
Yeah, everybody should play the way I say. I'm gonna have to write it down. I can't. It's too big a thing to just blurt out. Except over the course of the next 48 hours, watch all of my tweets on Twitter, and you will have your playing instructions.
Yeah. All right. Shall we move on to the chat spotlight? Doof Money. He says he's finding moving to AD&D very natural. I'm assuming, sir, that you played some of the older games and you kind of or some of the newer games and you're coming to the older games. That's cool.
Yes, I'm going to become Jeff Rose love child.
Joe, can you keep it going for a second? I got to step out for just a minute.
Sure thing. Yeah. So, let's see. I can tell you guys to do some things like subscribe. Let me find the subscribe-y thing here. Yes. No, that's not it. That's it. Subscribe. There will be some links in the show notes and in the video description after the fact, probably about an hour from now, hopefully, if I can get to it, that will have links to all resources that we've talked about. And we'll also have lots of links to tell you how you can support this fine show in a lot of different ways. I can also put up our ticker here that shows you some links You can't. This is not an audio thing, so folks on the audio side will not see this. It just shows some links where folks can support us monetarily. But just sharing it out to your friends is good with us if you cannot or do not want to share your monies with us. Let's see. Oh, looks like they're making some plans here. Yes. They're making some gaming plans. I feel left out. We want, hey, T-shirted, we want to show up on your show, but
yeah.
I've been working too late to get on there. This past Saturday, I didn't get home in any good time to be able to make it on. Because I know you guys are like an hour or two at most. I don't think you guys run much past that. So unless I'm misremembering.
They usually start at 5, right?
Yeah. Well, 5. I think it was 5 his time, but 7 our time. Isn't that what it is? I could have it wrong.
Might be. Legacy says he wants to invite us to one of his games. He should. That would be cool. We should play. We got to play in Shadows game, maybe in Legacies. I got to go visit T-shirt because I got to talk to that dude. Give him peace of my mind. No, not really. I just want to give him
which guy?
T-shirt. I'm just giving him some crap.
Give him a piece of your mind.
I can't give him very much because
you have to dig it out of your forehead like in the movie.
Yeah, I can't spare very much. So
it would be bad.
Yeah. Oh, he says he's got a couple weeks coming. Guess what, guys? A couple weeks free starting tomorrow. So I will make time for you. Oh, we should do that, Joe. Let him know.
A couple of weeks. I'm off next week. Randy's off next week. We can make that a thing.
Make it happen. Yeah. Sounds good.
So Central Standard, that's only an hour off from Eastern at this point, or is it 2?
Central, I think, is an hour because that's what Max at Legion is on.
Okay.
Yeah, we're an hour. Eastern's an hour ahead, I think. So, yeah, 4 p.m. Central. So, yeah, we're 5 o'clock our time, Joseph. Cool.
Gotcha. All right. So I told them to do the things. I put up the ticker. I think I'm going to take the ticker off at this point.
Yep. We got a couple things I'm going to toss out in the next segment to the chat again, specifically to the chat.
I'm going to toss to the chat.
Mm-hmm. Little chat spotlight Two-fer here. This is in regards to you'll have the links on there from Nerd Immersion, who's a 5e guy, and Total Party.
He has 100,000 subscribers for nerd stuff. Can you believe that?
He must be. He's doing something right.
Doing something right. I'm gonna have to watch that.
And Total Party Skills. The dude. I think he might be on to something a little bit. The whole point was. And Questing Beast has made a video saying the OGL is forever open. Don't worry about things. But these two were both talking about some things. Here's the idea. Hasbro can't shut down technically legally the OGL, but they could try to do it and put it into court, take it to court. This guy in Total Nerd, the Nerd Immersion channel implied that if he
first link in chat is Nerd Immersion, second link in chat is Total Party Skills. Total Party Nostrils.
But yeah,
that's not kind.
No, look, I like him more than Joe, but he does get annoying. He annoyed me last week, but this week he had a good point. Both of them did. If Hasbro were to, because they're talking like one D&D is not going to have an OGL, and if they really want to get an iron grip on D&D and stop anybody playing any version of it, they could try to withdraw the OGL, even if it's illegal. And their idea was, could they tie it up in court for a year or more and basically drain all the OGL people out of cash? You know what I'm saying? To where even if they lose, they kind of win.
Well, in a way. So what they would have to do is successfully get an injunction of some kind, so that during the litigation, no one can use the license. But that's not guaranteed.
No,
it's not even guaranteed that they're going to.
No, it was an idea. It was a doom and gloom. L says you can use any OGL you want, but must use the newest SRD. What does that mean?
Okay, the OGL is the license to do things. The SRD is content. So the SRD contains the generic D&D content that you can put in your game without fear of litigation. The OGL is just a gaming license that lets you use like mechanics. I think I can't remember the exact difference, but you don't really even need the OGL. I can have a D20 system game that has armor class and all this stuff, as long as I don't have like magic missile and something named magic missile that can be considered IP in my game. If I have the same mechanics, they can't do anything about that, because you can't. The ruling was you cannot. Mechanics are not IP, like rolling a die and all that other stuff.
Because I was thinking this, and this wouldn't be bad. All right, Snow says, then we need to reboot. We have to come up with our own rules and our own content.
Well, there's already other OGLs out there for different game systems.
Yes.
Right. So, and I think,
the Archmage engine for 13th Age.
Swords and Wizardry has an OGL, doesn't it?
I think so. And Savage Worlds does too.
Savage Worlds. I would imagine most of these folks that have different gaming systems that are indie games, they have their own SRD. There's a lot. It's a popular thing. At the very least, they have like quick start guides.
Yeah. A lot of folks are saying stuff is interesting. I don't know. I agree. I thought they're saying, oh gosh, where did it go? You can't, Patrick says you cannot copyright rules. You can only copyright specific literature and art. Yes. Does that mean then, even if they poo-pooed the SRD and they had nothing open for 6th edition, they tried to back off and everything else, I could create a game that's a D20 rolling game. Apparently I can, because 13th Age did it. But they have a comment on OGL, don't they, in their book, Joe?
Yeah, but a lot of people use the OGL defensively, just in case they need it. There are people that don't, that still use a D20 rolling system.
Would he? I have a question about that. T-shirt said, imagine OGL being revoked and everyone shifting their game engines over to Palladium. Simbeta would poop himself with happiness and awe.
I don't know.
I don't know if he would. I thought he wasn't a fan of other people.
Simbeta might not, but I know the new guy. This question came up in the interview, and they're not releasing any kind. They're not going to have an SRD or anything like that, and they're against that idea for them. They think it's fine for other people, but the new guy, I can't remember his name. The way he put it was like giving away the farm. So we don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you can't copyright game rules. So you could switch an engine over to that as long as you made it distinct enough linguistically from Palladium.
Right. Legacy said the OGL is perpetual license.
Right. It's right, but the people are saying that they might try to fight the perpetual nature of it.
I wondered if let's say theoretically that they did and they won, that they were able to say, yep, no OGL, you can't do D&D stuff. They still can't. If you can't copyright mechanics, I could make a D20 game with attack rolls. Can I do fortitude, reflex, will saving throws, character classes? I mean, I wonder.
This is what we all say. They can get wrecked and take their sensitivity reader with them. This is old communist idea of handlers everywhere for everything, never surrender. Correct. handlers for everything. You got to have committees, and everybody has to get told what to do. You know, you have a job, and you have a job, and we're going to tell you what your job is. Yeah, that works out so well.
This is possibly true. Paizo would lead the charge in the class action lawsuit against WotC.
Well, their current version of I guess for 1E sales, that would be important for them to do that. 2E isn't really. Is it
using the OGL at all?
It's a different game.
Yeah.
It's significantly different from 1E for Pathfinder. Okay. But, you know, people still like, I think this is the general consensus that folks like first edition Pathfinder better than second edition, but I could be wrong.
I think there's more that do than don't. I would guess that from most of the polls I've seen, and especially that data on, there was some data we reviewed on, granted, it was just Roll20 during the pandemic. I think there was it was pretty clear that 1E Pathfinder was way past the others, was way past the second.
Yes, Bruce, Paizo, he knows stuff that we don't, obviously. Mm-hmm. Paizo is so frustrated how people are not upgrading to second edition. You know, I think most of us would have been okay with it had they not had their, we're going to tell you how you can play our game section in their the first release of their beta rules. They said, hey, you have to be inclusive or you can't play this game, kind of language.
Yeah. Bruce Lombardo, Big Division, I'd like to shout out to him because he's always pimping Big Geek Emporium. And
yes,
Bruce, you're awesome, dude. Thanks so much.
And who was it? Nerd Cognito.
Yeah.
Did the same. Somebody, and it wasn't the Nerd Cognito guy. He was relating a story about Big Geek about writing a game.
Yeah.
And a friend of his told him he should put it on Big Geek Emporium. Oh, wow. So how cool is that?
That is very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is cool.
And he told that story on his show. I don't know if it's the latest one or the one before.
Right. Cool.
Nerd Cognito. Go listen to that.
Mm-hmm. He and his buddy have fun discussions and not too terribly long, usually close to an hour. They're not quite as word vomity as we are.
Well, and we focus on the RPG stuff.
Yeah.
I was going to say, we focus on the RPG stuff. Sometimes we get into general nerd land.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the general nerd things, what were we talking about? We're talking about evergreen stuff, OGL and everything.
Okay. Yeah.
I was getting ready to go off on a tangent. We can wait until Geek-itude, random Nerdville to go into that. Anyway, so I think everything about the potential lawsuit, that's a little speculative.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole monetization thing, that's not.
T-shirt, we pimp you guys out on my show too. Thank you, sir. We kind of have to because we love David Guile, and that's where he chooses to sell his stuff. Right on, dude.
David Guile is cool dude.
I knew making David my new best friend was a good idea. Nothing. I didn't say anything. I said David's a good dude.
I just heard a bunch of yammering gobbledygook over there.
Blabbering over there. Yeah, sweet. Thanks, T-shirt. You guys are awesome. We got a great bunch of people here, man. I tell you what. All right. Let's go to the second question. Get the OG out of the way. The second question and this is more about, this might be a subtopic of Creator Corner. As I've kind of implied, I'm working with a couple of guys thinking about making an RPG. We're not thinking about it. We're doing it. It's going to happen. We got some interesting ideas. Here's the question. When making an RPG, what do you think is the best way to begin? And let me kind of set this up. Should you go from setting to
one moment?
Oh, sure.
Cal, yes, you can get the print version of Dungeons and Delvers at Big Geek Emporium. Yes, sir. POD. It is available. We've had an issue with one person's print, but so far that's the only issue.
Mm-hmm. All right. So when making an RPG, think about your setting first, your core mechanic first. That is, do you want to make a fun, interesting, exciting core mechanic, or do you want to think about it from player character creation view, or maybe just from a central theme or elevator pitch? I want to give credit to one of our friends who at the party the other night, us three that are working on the RPG, he kind of stuck his nose in and made a couple of good comments. And I was just wondering of those four things, because I love setting, and I've always thought to make a game from the setting would be more natural. But okay, yeah, I know I talk really fast.
Okay, hold on. I'll do it.
Go ahead.
I will slow it down a little bit.
Friends.
So we have a few friends, we often toss around the idea of making an RPG. So from what point do you begin your creation? What do you think is the best way? Do you start with a setting idea first and let that setting inform your rules? Or do you start with a core mechanic and let that influence the development of the game? Or from the point of view of character creation? Well, these are the kind of characters that are going to be in the game, and they're going to be created in a particular way. And then the creation springs out from there. What's the other one? Or a central theme, just a theme. So if you what kind of game is it? Sword and sorcery, or maybe maybe it is the War of the Roses RPG. That's a theme. So, but that's also a setting, so it's kind of related.
What he said.
So I'm going to say that you can use all of these to feed the others. You can probably say start with setting and get some idea on how the characters are going to work, and then get some idea on how the core mechanic is going to be, and then you go in kind of a circle or a figure eight or however you want to conceptualize it. They all kind of, once you get to a certain point in your development, they're probably all kind of working that way.
I have to be careful as part of my two partners are definitely working hard on the mechanics. I will have more input when the setting comes in. I'll want to have some things to say. But
if you're not making a generic game, I would say, and I'm going to agree with Darth Theik here, if you're not making just some generic RPG, then your setting is going to inform how your rules are likely going to work.
Yeah. R.H. Snow, she's a writer, right? She had a setting first, wanted to create a game from it. I already had the central characters from a series. Okay, so she's written several books. So the rest was fairly straightforward, but I needed so much help getting the rules. Yeah. And I do. I have that help. I've got people that are quite adept at that, I think, doing that part of it. Part of me is I don't care about the rules. That's weird to say, but I'm not a player often. I think the players need the rules to be able to feel like they're making their character and doing their thing. But for me, I don't care. I want the setting to be cool. Now I would like the rules to be reasonable, but I don't get all worked up about using one rule over another, one type of rule.
I'm trying to understand this thing from Legacy Game Mastering.
Yeah, he started back here.
He says, at Biggest Geekus, and then this long string of text, the contributors grant you a perpetual worldwide royalty-free non-exclusive license. Perpetual. That's the clause that makes it supposedly impossible for them to do away with it.
Oh, he said, sorry, the copy was bad. So, yeah.
Right. So it didn't insert where the spaces where they needed to be, but
that's in regard to OGL. I believe he was doing some research.
Right.
Thanks, dude.
Okay. Let's continue with what we're doing. But yes, nostalgia bait pisses me off too, because it gets so many people to buy we're buying D&D because it's D&D, and whatever. It's their thing. It's their decision to buy. Anyway,
Yeah.
where you start, I agree with the setting first. If you're not doing generic rules, and with what you're saying there, you don't care about the rules. Maybe you should just write a setting, and then worry about the rules later.
Yeah, I have one developing already. I was working on before, and come together with two of our buddies, and we're pretty serious about making this game.
So, are you using any ideas from the setting I was telling you about?
Yes, Chimera is kind of where I'm working from. Absolutely. So I'm doing this as part of Biggest Geekus. I'm not. It's not Randy Nichols doing his own thing. So you definitely get credit if you want a little input. I'll let you know. But I want to set some things up and bounce it off the guys. But currently, I've got to finish my adventure, and I've got to get Big GeekCon squared away. So these two are taking the bull by the horns. RH Snow said she hired help for a first module. Is that done? RH, can it be purchased? Yes,
yeah, pimp your stuff out.
Yeah, pimp it out for sure. I'd love to know. I'll have to check it out. I'll read the books and I'll check out the module because I love to check out people that got level heads and are gamers for real. Not part of the what is Nerd Cognito said Sparkle Troll Nation.
So yeah, while we wait for that,
yeah, but I guess I've always wanted to have if we're going to publish this thing, we're going to need an elevator pitch, but that may not be where you start from. You just
no. You even if you have an elevator pitch when you begin, it might change over time.
Yeah, true.
So, but you can have one. I think you can definitely, if you have a blurb that's in your mind about the game you want to make, write that down and start out with that. And if it holds, fine. If it doesn't, you might have to change it a little bit.
Yeah, I think for me, I just want, it's going to be fantasy. It's going to be a D&D type game. But I think we've got some ideas already that are looking to be pretty original. Actually, I wouldn't say modern. I think it's pretty original.
Is it going to be closer to medieval fantasy or sword and sorcery? Because there's some difference.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be sword and sorcery right now. I don't know. That's up in the air. Some of my rules, System and Star says RH Snow. That's the name of your games. Weird West Cyberpunk Adventure. System and Star. That's the game. SNS. Right? Okay. Weird West Cyber. That's cool. Okay. I'll check it out.
Okay. So yeah. Legacy. You guys watching Troll Lord going ham on the open D&D concept. I'm not sure what you mean. I know that they had some words and they were more along our thinking than the mob thinking, I believe.
Okay.
Yes, I saw something on Twitter where they accidentally put an abbreviation that they were being teased about, but yeah, they want people to use Castles and Crusades to make their games.
Do they? Man,
that's what it looks like.
That is something else that we need to play it then, because I do like Castles and Crusades. What I've read, I like it. So, I guess I'm confused. They're calling it open D&D.
Well, there's one D&D and open D&D.
Okay.
And I'm not sure what the relationship is. I just saw it mentioned.
Is that something connected? So that is connected directly to Troll Lords? Open D&D?
No. That's just the thing.
I'm confusing.
People are talking about. But they're talking about, it's chat, so different things are getting bounced around. But open D&D, I think it's just another name for one D&D. Maybe I'm not sure. I think it might be people calling for it to be called open D&D, like a lot of other things. Your OGL is open gaming license.
Okay. All right. So let's get RH Snow's stuff out here. She said it's on drive-through. It's the first foray out. We are still brand new. We have a character book, Purgatory Papers, and as a series, World Guide. Okay. And as a tie to the module, System, and Star. Okay. Cool.
Okay, so I'm going to suggest that you can also, as long as you're not exclusive, if you don't have the exclusive thing over at Drive-Thru RPG, you can also list it over at Big Geek Emporium, which is our store where you can sell PDFs and print on demand if that's what you want to do. Though I'm not sure I'm as enthused about that as I used to be, mainly because I see that if we take a cut and we use Lulu, you could just go make a Lulu account and sell it yourself and save some money. But definitely put your PDFs up on Big Geek Emporium. Right now, we're not taking a cut.
Nothing?
Yeah, I lowered our cut to nothing.
Wow.
For the rest of the year.
Nice.
So. Ha ha. That's funny. I would love to list with you. Great. Do that.
Join us. Be fabulous. We will sell your stuff.
Join us.
Yeah. And
I want to chant Imhotep.
Yeah, Elle got me. He said nerd immersion video. He had open D&D in his thumbnail. Maybe you should watch the video you talked about earlier. That does help. I watched about 18-20 minutes of it, but it must have just flew over my head, dude. So my bad.
What is he complaining about?
I missed the phrase open D&D in the video. I didn't watch it all. He's telling me to do my homework, and as a teacher, I can't really get mad at him. Don't be nervous, RH Snow. It's all good. I'm sure you make really good stuff. We're not worried. Yeah.
If you get reviews that are critical, you can use those to make your products better. And if they're PDFs, you can just edit them and send out a new version. So
yeah,
take a deep breath.
Yeah.
And relax.
Yeah. And we get them on Biggest Geekus. If you're in the mood, maybe Joe, we've been wanting to in the new year have different people, creators come up on the show. If you'd like to be on the show, we're going to be asking different folks to join us. You're welcome to do that. We'd love to have you on. So anybody that gets on Biggest Geekus is friends of ours. Big Geek Emporium, I'm sorry. Okay. So basically consider all four aspects: setting, core mechanic, and create character creation, and go from there. That's the advice we're getting.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, yes. And Miss Snow, I mean, your picture is a woman, so I'm assuming your gender, whatever. If you're a writer and you have ebook, you can put that up as well.
Yep.
So I don't have any yet.
Right.
And it's a download platform. So you can put anything that's downloadable there, including a book. Yeah, that's me. I am a girl. Okay.
Your assumption was correct. Well done.
But yes, if you also have literature book, put it there too.
Yeah. What the heck?
We have 3D printables. We have gaming PDFs, monster. What do you call those?
What are these?
Paper minis, STL files. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a 3D printable file. Right.
Yeah.
So STL files, we have those. We have paper minis. I have all kinds of things there.
Cool. Excellent. All right. I think that's all I had for the Chat-itude.
All right.
Going to Big Geek, random Geek-itude.
Okay. What I was getting ready to say, interrupt you very rudely with, is there's this thing about Henry Cavill.
Oh.
The Witcher and Superman.
I've heard a lot about him this week.
Right. So he's no longer the Witcher and he's no longer Superman.
How perfect.
So it all happened within like a week or two or something like that. It's hard to tell precisely how these things worked out. It's interesting that he got a lot of crap from his co-stars.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was asked to leave, and which worked out well because he decided to accept a gig to go back onto Superman. But then the guys over there decided they're going to go back in the day and have a younger version. So he's not welcome there anymore.
Yeah.
So, but what's also interesting is he's got a 40K thing in development. And apparently he's a huge Warhammer 40K nerd and in general nerdy. So
the only black mark on that, and David Gall mentioned it earlier, it is going to be on Amazon.
Well, what else is he going to do?
I know he's got to do something.
In the biz.
He's got to do something.
Yeah.
T-shirt says The Rock is no longer Black Adam. Yeah, and they're kind of doing a retro hit piece now. Some of the people he worked with on Witcher, because they're writing it. I mean, from people that are fans of Witcher, they said the Witcher show was nothing like the actual books. And apparently he was not down with that. He was constantly complaining. And they said he was so hard to work with. Why don't you actually respect the IP? That'd be an idea.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the heat that he's taking from his co-stars is that he was insisting that they stick to the canon from the book. Mm-hmm. And they got annoyed with it. Plus, maybe he's not woke like they are. I mean, he's an actor, so I'm always expecting them all to be somewhat liberal. Well, and who cares if you're liberal? It depends on if you're willing to make everybody else liberal or if you're just content with yourself.
Yeah.
But, right, El. I heard about that too. Yep. The Witcher writers hated the books and the games. So again, they took an IP that lots of people liked, rabid followers.
Right.
And they made it into tissue paper and pasted it over the story they wanted to tell, which was what's the character's name in The Witcher?
Geralt of Rivia.
Where Geralt, who was the main character, became a guest star. He was hardly ever in it.
Okay. Clarity from R.H. Snow. The book series is Watcher of the Dam. The companion TTRPG is System and Star. Okay.
We don't get a lot of traffic on Big Geek Emporium.
Right.
So don't expect a flood of money, but you are welcome there to put your book series. You're welcome there to put any of your downloadables. You are welcome.
Did you see what David said?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say make it into tissue paper and wipe their
that out. Too, just like our government does with the Constitution on a daily basis.
Yeah, like I said, we don't know Cavill, but I tell you what, he's got a lot of goodwill with the fans. I heard several guys say you can make a good point that his movies. I thought Man of Steel was good. I liked Man of Steel. Batman v Superman was pretty much poop. The first version of Justice League was a big mess. The 4-hour Snyder cut was better. But he's got a lot of goodwill to the fans. He looked good as Superman. He acted well. He was great. He was right up there with who plays Wonder Woman? Gal Gadot. I liked her as Wonder Woman. Those two were perfect cast. And I think that Wonder Woman 3 is out, no longer going to be made. They're rebooting it all. I can't fully blame James Gunn. He comes in and you got this hodgepodge mess of a DC universe. But I will blame him on this. Punt everybody else, but you keep Cavill and you keep Gadot. You can punt everyone else as far as I'm concerned. The Rock I liked as Black Adam. I think he had the look. I didn't think it was all that great of a movie. It was kind of, but at least it wasn't stupid woke.
Yeah, Wonder Woman 1984 bombed.
It was poop.
It should have. It
was horrid.
Yeah,
but man,
I saw some reviews and stuff. Yeah. I liked Wonder Woman, and they picked a good actress to do the part.
Yep.
But to be honest, they can find someone else to do her. Easier than they can replace her a lot easier than they can replace Cavill.
I think so too. Elle says Momoa was a good Aquaman. He was satisfactory. I don't think he was great. His movie was okay. Patrick says something. Patrick Demos says this, and I heard him say it from his very mouth. Cavill defended fans by saying they aren't toxic, they're passionate, and there's nothing wrong with that. Yep.
So he's got enough star power that he can weather this storm.
Yeah.
And apparently he's not squandering his money like a lot of other folks do because he owns the 40K movie license. It's not. Yeah, he's like producing, maybe writing. I can't remember all of the different roles ways he's involved, but he owns the license. The blurb I read said. So right.
Yeah, I thought. But back for the movies, I thought Man of Steel was good. The first Wonder Woman was good. There was some little too much Supergirl power stuff and a couple of comments. But as a movie, it was still excellent. It was
a good. I didn't like the end fight scene
as much.
I thought it was poorly put together.
Yeah.
And her comment to the secretary when the secretary says, all I do is what he says.
Yeah.
And she makes some comment about totalitarians or something. And I'm like, your mom was queen. Everybody did what she said. That's all that they did. And you have that comment. It's dumb. And they just wanted to put that in to like give the needle to dudes. Women don't have to do what men say. Blah.
Martin says he's producing and not writing. Is he
right.
also
I couldn't remember.
Is he going to star? I hope he's in it.
Yeah, he's going to be in it.
Cool. Yeah.
But yeah, I thought, yeah, they're gonna have. I mean, Cavill is kind of a modern version of Christopher Reeve.
Yeah.
Right.
Kind of.
A little dark.
I thought Reeves filled the suit okay.
Yeah.
Well,
monster.
Dude, he's a.
Yeah. Have you seen any of the Mission Impossible movies that he was in?
I saw one. I like those. Even 5, 6. I enjoy them. Whatever they are, 4 or 5. Some were better than others, but yes, I saw the one he was in. I know he's in one. I don't know if he's in more than one.
Yeah, I think he's in at least 2.
Yeah, okay. I like him.
I think.
He's a good action star. He's good all the way around. And I saw him. He went to, I was called Warhammer World over in England. I saw a video on that. Dude's legit nerd. He plays Warhammer hardcore. He's put up videos of things of minis he's painted. So
okay. I didn't know anything about that.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. That's like the writer, Monster Hunter guy, Gun Nut. He's not just a gun nut. He's a total nerd. He paints minis. He plays D&D. Can't remember his name now.
Legacy Game Master says he was just in the one Rogue Nation.
Oh, okay. I thought he was in 2.
I thought he died in it too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the 7th and 8th one's being filmed now, and I want to watch it. Yeah.
As much as I'm not a big fan of Tom Cruise, the Mission Impossible movies, even though they like, which was the one with the motorcycles? They did kind of the motorcycle jousting. I thought that wasn't very good. Yeah. But some of the later ones are all right. Larry Correia. Yes, thank you, RH. Larry Correia. Yeah. He's a huge nerd. He has a podcast too.
Writer Dojo.
Writer Dojo. You should listen to it if you are an aspiring writer.
Yep. I do think Tom Cruise, you can pick at him and you can say he's this or that. And he may not be the greatest guy. I've never heard him poop on fans.
Who?
I've never seen Tom Cruise poop on his fans. In fact, at the beginning of Maverick, he makes a comment that they made it for the fans and hope we enjoyed it. So, and it wasn't the greatest movie, but it was fun to watch. I enjoyed it. It was, compared to what we have been getting, Maverick was awesome.
So, I didn't see that.
I think it's worth your time.
Anytime someone gets excited about a movie, I'm like, prepare for disappointment. But
you're so hard to please, dude.
Well, dude, how many movies do we hear about that we're like, oh, they're going to do this so good, and then they don't.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. All right. Any reports from Geekland from you? What's Big Geek Emporium got cooking here?
The biggest thing I think I just said, we went to 0 on commissions.
Oh, and the second biggest thing is we're about to have RH Snow stuff.
Yes, that's going to be news. Yes,
that's some news now. I mean, unless I'm wrong, I think she's about to put her stuff on Big Geek Emporium, and I say awesome. So, Nothing on my end yet, but my adventure writing has started. That's cool.
I'm going to say this too.
I'm started.
I'm going to say it. If someone has a video production that they want to put up on Big Geek Emporium, I don't see any reason why we can't, especially if it's just a downloadable. I don't know about playing it because that will take up a huge amount of bandwidth. But if you have like a cartoon or a short or something like that that's nerd adjacent, related, I don't see why we can't have it. Since we're talking about movies.
Yeah. This is too funny, Flady. I think it's as regards to what you said about bad movies. After years of a Great Dane shitting in your mouth, a hamster turd looks appetizing.
You kind of said something like that. Not as crude, but
right.
You were saying after so much garbage movies, it doesn't, right. Movies are being called great. Like Maverick, they're calling it a great movie when it's just an okay movie, but it's but it's free of all the nonsense.
It's a breath of fresh air. That's the best way to put it. What's up, Joe? Shove a YT video on Big
YouTube video.
Oh, okay.
I've thought about that, but I mean, I would rather save the bandwidth for someone who has an actual creative,
right.
Like a little short thing that's, you and your buddies are in costume and you're acting out a D&D thing. That's fine. Or a cartoon that you've made on whatever program. That's all cool.
Mm-hmm.
Comics. Yeah, we can support. David Gile says we can put comics up there. Yeah. Lulu, we can do print, but that's not very cost effective. Comic printing through Lulu, unless you're doing like a graphic novel sized thing, is very much not worth it. But for an electronic version of a comic book, it's fine.
Now, T-shirt want to get in here. He wanted to remind us, don't forget all the first guys. First female action hero, first black superhero, first Asian superhero. Movies did not exist until 2020.
Well, you didn't put sexuality in front of all those things.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. The bandwidth is YouTube because we can link to it or embed it, but I know there's going to be some resources that are used by the site. I think I could be wrong.
Flady, there's a video of Flady doing Shakespeare in college. I want the link.
All right, let's do that. We'll charge $1 download.
Right.
When you can get it for free on YouTube. I'm sure that'll go over well.
Bruce Lombardo of Dick's Division says Pathfinder 1E outplays and outsells PF3E over 2-1.
I thought I heard something similar to that.
That sounds like truth, so I'm just going to believe it. I don't want any corroborating evidence. I don't want any links. I'm just believing it because Bruce said it. In fact, I'm going to perpetuate it. Well, dude, what do you think, man? It's time to boogie on out of here.
I'm a tired old white dude. That's what I think. I
don't want to keep old white dudes up, and that would be us. So thanks to everybody for showing up. It was good to have R.A. Snow. She was new today to the chat, and it was good to have those people. Have her and other people. Of course, I'm tired. I can't even talk. Joe will have all the cool links so you can support our show, give us money, but most importantly, like, subscribe, tell all your friends, and as Joe likes to say, and your enemies about us. So anything else, brother?
I don't believe so. I think that covers it all.
Okay, well, this is Randy.
And this is Joe.
And remember, if you can't be big like us, be geeks like us.